In focus. Are we in focus? We're in focus. There we go.
Joe.
I'm not sure I'm going with the wooden motif. I was trying to think. Right, we're looking at something in depth. Investigative reporters almost.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I thought, well, they have a desk, don't they? Wooden.
Yeah, I like lots of things about this.
Good. Nice. Well, thank you. But anyway, right, let's get beyond the aesthetics of the segment, and let's kind of discuss. We're going to be focused on Wednesday episodes 1 and 2 this week. I think we'll take it. I chose 2 episode chunks because I only had time to watch 2 episodes. To be honest, I know Jimmy, you've blasted through it, haven't you?
Yeah, for once, me and the wife have actually rinsed the show, because usually we start and then we stop, don't we? But we've done it.
You do, which to me kind of suggests where you're sitting with this show in terms of quality. I don't know, I could be wrong there, but I guess that's probably a discussion we'll have come once we've watched all the episodes, as it were. But certainly, I wanted to take a more focused look at episodes 1 and 2. What happens, our thoughts on each episode. And kind of just go from there.
Yeah. Well, remind me, Stu, what happened in episode 1 and 2?
Well, so happens you say that. I do have the episode listings on IMDb, so I'm just going to open those up for my own thought processes. Yeah. So episode 1 was entitled "Wednesday's Child is Full of Woe," and that alludes to a nice point in I think it was in this first episode where they bring up why Wednesday is called Wednesday, and I'd never even thought of that.
No, me neither.
And Catherine Zeta-Jones as Morticia states, well, it's from her favourite. What is that? Is that a poem? No,
it's a sort of poem, isn't it? Monday's Child. Yeah.
Monday's Child is blah blah blah. Wednesday's Child is full of woe, so that's why she was called Woe, and because it was Morticia's favourite poem.
Well, she's called Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll say it's a poem, just for argument's sake.
Yeah.
But the episode itself starts off crackingly. We kind of the episode starts at what's the name of the school?
Nevermore.
No, the first school that Wednesday was at, Nancy Reagan High School. And Wednesday is a student at Nancy Reagan High School.
I didn't notice it was called Nancy Reagan High School.
And there's a statue of Nancy Reagan there. Very 80s, very kind of un-Wednesday-like, really, isn't it? Very kind of conformist. I liked that. And we get a scene where Pugsley's being bullied. Wednesday finds out, and she goes to... They kind of then drip in this concept where Wednesday can touch people. And she then has visions of...
Does that happen there?
It does. Yeah, she touches Pugsley, and she sees what happened to Pugsley.
Yes, they've given her the gift of
the
sight, haven't they? She
sight beyond sight.
Rhino. She has visions.
But it's weird because some of the visions are like foretelling what's going to happen to someone, and like in this one, it's looking back at what has happened.
Yeah, it's both.
From what I remember, that's the only instance. I mean, there may be more where she can see what has happened. No,
it carries on throughout.
Okay.
Forward and back.
Right.
They're visions that are going to be useful.
Yeah. So
for the story.
Yeah. They kind of introduce that aspect that Wednesday does have this kind of mental ability to see events that have occurred or will occur, and she sees the attackers that kind of shoved Pugsley into his locker and shoved an apple in his mouth, like a pig on a spit. They call him Pigsley, don't they? The bullies, that is. So to seek her revenge, Wednesday puts a load of piranhas into the school pool where I think they're like a water polo team are practicing, and these are the bullies that did something to Pigsley, and he gets his testicle bitten off by a piranha, one of the lead bullies, and we find out that is what leads Wednesday to be expelled from Nancy Reagan High School. It'll be full spoilers, by the way, I should say, if you haven't seen it. And she ends up being enrolled by her parents into Nevermore. Is it Nevermore Academy, or is it just called Nevermore?
Nevermore Academy.
Thank you, Jimmy. And so this is the
school for outcasts.
Yes, which I like. I liked that idea. School for outcasts.
Very Harry Potter-esque.
Yeah, it is very Harry Potter, and there's a few Harry Potter elements that kind of go throughout the whole. Certainly, 2 episodes I've watched so far. This is the school that Morticia and Gomez went to, and where they fell in love. Morticia has a reputation at the school as being someone quite successful, and leading lots of societies and clubs and such. She was quite a big noise in the Evermore Academy scene. So Wednesday's kind of then introduced to her housemate, who she has to share a dorm with, who is a werewolf, I believe, but she's not quite a full werewolf. She can't transition into a full werewolf yet.
She's just got fingernails.
She does. And we're introduced to various cliques around the school. Cliques, I should say. So you've got werewolves, sirens, vampires, stoners.
Stoners.
Yeah.
Which are... Do you know what they are yet?
No, I don't know. I just assumed they were people who get stoned.
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, they like golems or something. That'd be awesome.
Don't you see one of their bit of hair?
You had a snake, didn't you?
You had a snake. So what is that?
Oh, like a Medusa type thing.
So what are they called? Stoners?
Ah, like Greek gods or something?
They're gorgons.
Gorgons.
So you get turned to stone if you look at
of course you do. Oh, that's great. Okay. I thought they just liked weed, to be honest.
That's what I first thought, and now I saw the snake. I was like,
makes sense. That's great.
They turn people to stone.
Okay, okay. I liked that aspect of the show.
Making it more magical. Making the Addams Family more magical.
Yeah. I liked... Do you know, I think I like... The theme I was enjoying the most from these 2 episodes, really, is the theme of an outcast within a group of outcasts. I thought that was... And I think they used that term in the 2nd episode, maybe. But yeah, outcasts within a group of outcasts is quite an interesting concept, I think. How does Wednesday, or there's a few other characters that you can see as outcasts, how do they integrate, and what, their relationships with each other, and how they fit in or don't fit in, as it were. That I thought that was quite an interesting concept, because in the original Addams Family sitcoms and films and such, yes, the Addamses are outcasts, but they're outcasts amongst the norms. It's interesting to see them as outcasts amongst almost their own. So I thought that was an interesting theme throughout the 2 episodes as a whole. I feel like I'm talking for England, so
no, it's fine. I'm enjoying.
Do chip in if you've. Yeah. What else happens in that first episode? Should we get introduced to the school and
we meet the headmistress?
We
played by Gwendolyn Christie.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Famous for Game of Thrones.
Indeed.
And The Sandman she was in.
We get introduced to Christina Ricci's character, who is the dorm mistress or something like that.
Yeah.
She's like a figurehead within Wednesday's dorm, which I thought was quite nice, having the original, the cinematic Wednesday play that role. Directed by Tim Burton, both of these episodes, incidentally. Does he do them all?
I don't know. I know some are written by different people.
Okay, yeah. He certainly directed these first 2 episodes that I watched, like I say. So you're introduced to Gwendolyn Christie and Christina Ricci's characters. Christina Ricci is also a teacher of carnivorous plant studies, or whatever that term may be. Yeah. So I thought that was very Harry Potter. When you had Emma Thompson playing that crazy herbology teacher, I thought that was
divination was Emma Thompson.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed that first episode. It had the focus more on the theme of the outsider within a group of outsiders.
You find out she's been expelled from like 9 schools in 7 years or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's why they don't. Because even though they're vampires and werewolves and things, they're not all evil people. They're just these creatures. Went a bit blurry there, but she is trouble. She has issues, doesn't she? She is, and she's a very different. It's what I said to my wife. She's a different Wednesday to what we had with Christina Ricci in the films. She's because I was waiting in the first couple of episodes. I was waiting for her to get likable. She's quite like a snotty teenager, isn't she?
She is. Played by Jenna Ortega.
Yeah, she's great. Does a great job.
Yeah, great. I get what you're saying. I haven't. She treats everyone with disdain, really, doesn't she? Like, she isn't very likable. I think you're right there. That's certainly what comes across in these first 2 episodes. Like, you certainly don't warm to her. But
she's nasty to her mum, isn't she?
She is, and I thought that relationship is quite interesting. She doesn't want to be anything like Morticia. You know, she doesn't want to kind of end up being her mother. She seems quite ashamed of being in Adams in this.
Yeah. So and look, I'll be honest. There is growth in the character as the show goes on. So it's probably good to hear. There is
that is good to hear.
But it was like I didn't like her when she first turns up and she's just not very nice to people, and then she goes into the fencing class, doesn't she?
She does, yeah.
And she has a sword fight with the bully.
Bianca, no, hang on. Bianca Barkley,
who is a siren.
Yeah, she's like the queen bee. They call her, don't they? She's like the head honcho at school.
Yeah, and for me, I was like, well, don't just go and mouth off to the queen bee. But my wife said, but she's sticking up for it was a lad, wasn't it, who just got taken down.
Oh God, what's his name? Because he was the main protagonist, wasn't he? He certainly was in the second episode. Oh God, what is his name? Morgan, is it?
The guy with the long hair, is it?
Yeah.
It's like Barkley or Fraser or Barry. I can't remember, but I was glad she didn't win that sword fight. I was glad she got cut because it's quite tricky because you need her not to be perfect, even though she's very good at lots of different things. Like the Adams are strangely good at sword fighting and gymnastics and all of that sort of stuff. They are just really good at it. But you need her to, not be perfect because you need her to overcome things. So I was glad that she lost that sword fight and got her face cut by the queen bee.
Is it Rowan? Is it Rowan?
No. Rowan is the kid with the glasses and the...
I thought that was the one that she saved.
Yes, that is the one she saved. It was Rowan. Yeah,
Rowan.
So the kid with asthma.
Yeah. I mean, Wednesday introduces herself to the students in the school, really, doesn't she? With that one action where she challenges, I forget her name already, the siren, the queen bee, to that fencing match, and I thought it was quite funny. She says, "I want to challenge you to military rules." No masks and no what are they called, pointers or something.
Yeah, like a blunt to the sword.
Yeah. So they were going full sword on sword action.
And the teacher went,
"Yeah, why not? Let's do it.
Go for it."
Yeah, happy days. What I can't remember what kind of happened towards the end of that first episode though.
We'll move on to episode 2 because things I'm sure will come back to.
They were okay. For me, I do want to wrap it up with there was a distinction between the first and second episodes for me in quality, but I'll summarize that at the end. But in the second episode, we are kind of introduced to, I forget the character's name already. Rowan. Well, Rowan's character I'm trying to think how I. I'm trying to remember what happened.
So Rowan, I don't want to jump ahead. That's my problem because I've
No, I
seen them
know.
all.
I know. I'm
Is
thinking.
there is
I'm
there a
thinking.
bit of a is there a bit of a con? Is there like a fair? Is there like a pilgrim
Oh, there
fair?
is.
Because
Yeah, there is the
they're
pilgrim.
in they're in a
Oh, I know what it is.
town.
It's the Po Cup and it's the fair. It's the Harvest Festival, isn't it?
Yeah, they're in a town that's like famous for witch hunters, aren't they?
They
Or
are.
pilgrims, basically, who
Yeah, pilgrims. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
religious nuts who don't necessarily like Nevermore as an academy being close to them.
Yeah, Nevermore students are notoriously frowned upon whenever they go into the residing town, like you say.
Of Jericho.
Yes, of Jericho. Thank you, Jimmy.
Now, there's a bit of an event, isn't there, going to happen? And she beats up three boys at one point, doesn't she?
She does. Wednesday. Part of Wednesday's agreement for attending Evermore Academy is
Nevermore.
Nevermore. Sorry, Nevermore Academy is the fact she has to go to. She has to attend counselling twice a week.
Yes.
And in the first session she goes along with Gwendolyn Christie, who's there to kind of make sure she goes. Wednesday does end up just playing hooky and escaping out of a bathroom window, and kind of walks around Jericho looking for an escape route. You know, she ends up in a local cafe where she gets chatting to a barista who's the son of the local sheriff. The local sheriff doesn't like Gomez. He's accusing Gomez of being a murderer, and there's these lots of little kind of story threads that they're chucking out there. These little
Yeah, they do
mysterious,
chuck a lot in.
these mysterious threads that you hope pay off in the future. I don't know if they do. You probably will know more than that. But so she strikes up this relationship with the barista. I don't know his name for now, but I'm sure I will learn that going forward.
Yeah, I can't remember it now.
So they like I say she fixes the coffee making machine for him, and she tries to get him to drive her to. I don't know where she's trying to go. I think she's just trying to get out of the school. I think she just wants to leave. She doesn't like it.
Yeah.
She doesn't like the environment or being forced to counselling. I think she finds the whole atmosphere quite oppressive and just something she doesn't want to do. So she's trying to look for an escape route, if you like. But
And yeah, she wants to live to a train station, I think, isn't it?
I think that's right. Yeah. After all this happens, I think she sits in the cafe and she's accosted by three guys dressed as pilgrims. I think they're local youths, not yokels. They're local youths dressed as pilgrims. They work at Pilgrim Land. I'm not sure if you've seen Pilgrim Land, but it feels like it's like I don't know, some kind of attraction near Jericho where they celebrate pilgrims, and
it's like a place where when you're a kid and you go to like a Victorian house and it's all like the past,
like Colne Valley Railway.
yes, exactly like that.
But Wednesday, they accost Wednesday for being a freak and such. The typical things that you would throw out to a kid who looks different to what you look, and she duffs them up with some expert kung fu moves.
And that bit threw me a bit as well because she's tiny and she did them all, but she did them in a believable way, I guess. Like, and again, she's mysterious and spooky.
Yes,
they can do things, the Adams, that normal people can't. They can.
I want to know who teaches
survive,
because Gomez is quite stout. He doesn't look very athletic. So
he is. He's still sword fighty.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
He taught her these things.
Nice. The overarching kind of plot point throughout the second episode is the Po Cup, which is a canoeing competition held every year at Nevermore Academy. You've got various kind of are they houses almost? So you got the Black Cats, which is who Wednesday and her roommate are a part of.
Yes, there's the Jokers.
Yeah, the Jokers.
The Jokers.
The Sirens. Was that a thing? Was that
they were in like I can't remember. And there was another one, wasn't there?
Yeah, I can't remember the other one. but it's quite a well filmed, tense race between everyone. They had to go up and grab
It was
the
very Harry
flag.
Potter, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It felt like the Goblet of Fire bit, didn't it?
Yes, very much so. Stu, you just got to give me 1 minute. Keep talking.
Yes, no problem. I'll keep talking. So it ends up that the Black Cats win the competition from the evil Siren team. So yeah, that was quite a nice kind of framing aspect from that episode. But what I didn't particularly enjoy, that they started feeding into the second episode, was like what I guess is going to be the grand narrative for the whole series, and that's this aspect of there seems to be this prophetic event that will take place at Nevermore Academy, where Wednesday is supposed to do some kind of something horrendous that destroys the school itself. And what I don't want to get into the weeds of that too much, but what I didn't particularly understand is, Wednesday is all about saying, "Oh, I love to do terrible things." I love to do terrible things. I love to torture my brother. I love to do all these terrible things, and this, that, and the other. All these kind of really bad things. I didn't want to say things again, but I'm going to have to say things again. But she then draws the line at doing this even terribler thing by potentially being this prophetic person that destroys the school. But that's I didn't really understand that narrative point. Like, why is she so averse to doing that? But she's happy to torture her brother and do these other terrible things and say she enjoys doing terrible things. I couldn't really get past that, but it's just a minor niggling point for me. I just found it weird that she has a bit of a moral compass. I don't know. Perhaps I don't know if I'm looking into that too much, or
it's a different type of Addams Family, isn't it, to the films? You have to completely separate it from the films, because their relationship as a family is different. Like Catherine Zeta-Jones shows a lot more emotion than Angelica Houston ever did. Like Angelica Houston, it was just all very, even when she was really happy, there was nothing really. When she was there was just not a lot there really. Yeah. It was so held back, which was brilliant. That's not to take away from what Catherine Zeta-Jones does. I think she's great as well. But they're trying to show a more emotional family connection with them all and a bond, and yeah, their moral compasses, because they were potentially murderers in the film, weren't they? The Addams Family, they baked a woman in a cake for the stag do, and they're like, "C'est la vie," Whereas in this, you don't know where things lie. So you have to sort of forget all that and try and think that actually some of it with Wednesday is probably a bit of an act. Some of the things she says,
I do wonder. That's an excellent point, Jim. I do wonder if I'm letting my other aspects of the Addams Family in media kind of seep into how I'm interpreting this version of the Addams Family and Wednesday in particular. That is interesting. I hadn't considered that, but it probably is quite true. How did you feel about a lot of the grander narrative stuff that they started throwing in at the second episode? You got the mysterious murders taking place, and the Wednesday potentially had been involved in this big cataclysmic event and trying to find out that there's this mysterious schoolhouse. I use schoolhouse in terms of society. That's the word I should use. Yeah. School society that she's trying to investigate. Her trying to almost investigating this. I don't know, it's almost like Indiana Jones, kind of just looking at these clues and going into dusty rooms and looking at books and stuff. How did you feel about that? I wasn't a massive fan of that stuff at the moment, but I'm hoping it kind of pays off a bit. And I don't know.
The whole I liked it, and it is like that. It is like young detective girl That is what the show is like through the whole
Yeah,
thing.
very much. I wasn't expecting that at all.
No, and I guess like what else were you gonna do? So it's like like Harry Potter. He does detective work, doesn't they? That's what they
Yeah,
do in that.
I suppose so, yeah,
It's very
yeah.
similar to that. Whereas, or what you, or she's just at school, and it's like Mean Girls or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's you've got to give her something to do, and I guess she's a sort of it's like a young adult's thriller sort of thing, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's like my dad just has been watching it, and I said, "Oh, do you enjoy it?" He went, "It's for kids, isn't it?" And I went, "Well," and he went, "Well, teenagers." I went, "Yeah, probably. You know, it's probably that more sort of Buffy the Vampire Slayer
Yeah.
sort
Yeah,
of
very much
crowd,
so. Very
which
much.
can be
Very.
teenagers, but also adults who like that.
It's also very Sabrina, I think. You know, that
Yeah,
Netflix show they did.
it's that sort of thing, but just a bit more violent.
I'll try and wrap up a few thoughts now, I think, and we'll continue this conversation next week when we look at episodes 3 and 4. Because I see John Simmons is in the chat, and I wanna talk about John in a minute. So keep plopping, John. I'll get to you, promise. So yeah, for me there was two distinct thoughts with these two episodes. First episode I enjoyed much more than the second one, and I think it's because I enjoyed that aspect of the fish out of water within this school of
Yeah.
misfits. I like that, and like the interpersonal relationship she has and how she kind of is going to negotiate through school. I enjoyed less the the Nancy Drew stuff
Yes.
that she was doing. So I hope they do kind of get that balance a bit better for me, but that's just my personal opinion. Other people may enjoy the investigatory stuff a lot more, but yeah, it's I'll continue to watch it. So it's been successful in that on that score. So yeah, it's so far so good for me. So far so good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it all, and it kept me wanting to find out more.
Yeah.
That's what I think the detective stuff does well. It keeps you guessing.
Good point. Yeah, yeah.
It
It
keeps you
draws you
coming
in, I
back.
guess, and keeps you wanting to watch it. So there we go. That was our first In Focus. Looking at the first two episodes of Wednesday. More of this same time next week. So join us for that. If you want to watch along, then do watch episodes 3 and 4, and we'll talk about it next week.